Ethan meets Lena, a girl he believes is part of his recurring dream.
Makes any difference, I like you.
Lena possesses supernatural powers, but is threatened by an ancient family curse.
I can teach you how to use them. I can teach you how to become the most powerful dark caster who ever lived.
Oh, that's so sweet of you, Mama.
Ethan must help Lena choose between dark and light in Beautiful Creatures.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Aaron, and today we're here to discuss Beautiful Creatures. We've all just seen it. Kevin, why don't you start off?
Beautiful Creatures is actually based on a young adult novel of the same name, which is actually a series of 4 books by Kami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. And it takes place in a South Carolina town. This southern guy meets this new girl in town. All the people in the town think that she's a Satanist, and you find out, actually, she's a witch, or as she likes to call herself, a caster.
I was so pleasantly surprised by this movie. The writing is really surprisingly good. It walks the line between horror and fantasy. There are scary elements to it. There's a lot of suspense, but it never goes into, a true horror movie. And it's very fantastical.
Okay, I'm just a dumbass mortal who can't make his own thunder, but I know there's no way we're gonna figure this out unless you stop feeling so damn sorry for yourself all the time. Go ahead! Start an earthquake. See where it gets you.
The writing is a story that's been told before, but it's not hackneyed, and there are some cool twists. And
there's some really cute banter between the two lead characters.
Yeah. They philosophize a little bit. They talk about religion, and not always so kind of in the negative, because it starts out a little negative, and then there's actually some positive stuff in there, too.
Well, they have deep thoughts in this movie. Yeah. They've got thoughts about, like, the nature of life and the nature of humanity and, exactly, philosophy. You're watching it going, well, that's interesting how they put that in. And then there's like a whole theme about books and knowledge and, outsiders versus insiders and bullies versus not. There's a lot of themes running through this movie that make it more complicated.
However, I feel like that's the problem, is that there was so much going on.
Yeah, it felt a little it was
a little bogged down. Yeah, and there was about halfway through, I got a little like, there's so much mythology.
It's interesting that this film that just seemed like it was going to be a supernatural romance had a discussion about what we as human beings do and why we love and why we have emotion.
I understand that it might feel a little bit bogged down, but I would so much rather that than what I thought I was walking into, which was going to be this bland novel.
Twilight with witches.
Yeah, I mean, there were parts of it that were bland, and there were parts that were really cliche. Alice Englert, who plays Lena Duquesne, she's quirky, she's fun.
Not to bring up Twilight again, but I think she would have been a better Bella. She just has
so
a more natural beauty and realism to her.
I mean, calling us witches is like calling the smart kids geeks or the athletes jocks. We prefer the term caster.
Our lead character of Ethan Waite is a reader and a little bit of a nerd, and he likes all of the books in Gatlin, South Carolina that are banned, things like Slaughterhouse-Five or Clockwork Orange or Fahrenheit 451, and so that's a unique element about his character.
And the chemistry between them is really, really good.
Yeah, it starts off awkward, and then, they realize that they're sort of meant to be together.
During their makeout moment that they have, it really felt very boyfriend-girlfriend-y. It was very sweet and playful. They had this great dynamic that was, they really had a true love thing going on, and I was really rooting for them to end up together.
You can't complain about not having any friends and then make a guy work this hard trying to be one. Unless you actually do think I'm a jerk.
Jeremy Irons is in this film, playing Macon Ravenwood, the uncle of Lena Duquesne, and he is a reclusive man in this town. It seems that his family founded the town, and he's got tons of money. I enjoyed him. He brought a lot of humor to the film, but he was a little underused.
Usually he plays such really heavy and characters, and this time he got to loosen up.
He's lighthearted. He brings comedy.
Yeah. Exactly.
He makes jokes about Google.
Yeah,
he does make Google jokes.
He's creepy, but he's still caring.
The accusations against my niece are all spurious lies. For according to the Weather Channel, and you can verify this on Google, there were unseasonably strong gusts from the east which caused untold destruction up and down the South Carolina coast.
The writer and director of this film is Richard LaGravenese, who has directed Freedom Writers, P.S. I Love You. He also wrote The Fisher King. There are some unique things about the way the film looks, and I enjoyed it.
It wasn't Addams Family Camp, and it wasn't Tim Burton so stylized that that's the main part of the movie.
It's kind of in the middle of all that.
It was in the middle, exactly, which was really nice. It was whimsical.
And the costumes were really, really interesting.
The casters were wearing Hot Topic, and the models were wearing everything else.
But it was cool. I mean,
it was cool. I was
nice
like,
to
do I
have-
like this? I don't know.
It was nice to have a visual difference.
Speaking of the way it looked, I thought the special effects here were clearly CGI, and I didn't really think that they were that effective. I mean, you know, overall, I think that the film is very handsome looking, so I was able to excuse it, but it did look a little cartoony to me.
It has a nice gloss overall, but there are times where it feels out of place.
I don't think Beautiful Creatures is going to take over the Twilight franchise, but I do think it's an interesting Southern Gothic spellbinder, just not bewitching enough for me to say run to the theater. I say stream it.
Beautiful Creatures isn't exactly my cup of tea, but it's surprisingly well made and engaging, so I say see it.
I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. It's a sweet story with enough plot twists to make it enjoyable. I say see it.
Well, it looks like our votes add up to 2.5 tickets, which is a see it for Beautiful Creatures. Cheers.
I declare.
My mama said this, and my mama said that.